What is happening, YouTube? Welcome to another installment of SHTF News. This one is going to cover the month of February in 2025. It's actually February 28th today. And my goal with this SHTF News thing, guys, is to basically take the news that you should be most concerned about as a survivalist and prepper and condense it down into one video. That's all you need to listen to for the month to kind of get an idea of the big things that are happening that we should be worried about. Guys, I spend 2 to 3 hours every single day watching, listening, reading the news, and there's no need for you guys to spend that much time. I would encourage you to just kind of keep your eyes on the headlines. If you're a busy person, watch my SHTF News when they pop up, and it should kind of break it down for you. There's a ton of stuff that's happened in the last month, guys. I got my notes right here so I don't skip anything. But I'm actually going to skip quite a bit of stuff on this list because, again, we want to be focused on the 80-20 of this news, right? 20% of what we do produces 80% of the results. So do you need to be concerned about Kamala Harris being drunk in public and making up word salads and just not making any sense? No. Right? That's just kind of entertainment shit. You don't really need to be concerned about that. What we do need to be concerned about, in my personal opinion, is some of the stuff that the Department of Government Efficiency has uncovered. The price of gold, because it's a reflection of where the market is headed. Massive corruption has been uncovered by the Department of Government Efficiency. Also, and I said this months and months ago, guys, before Trump was even elected, that our federal government is in an internal power struggle. It's literally having a civil war with itself right now, something we should certainly be concerned about. And then also the current state of Russia and Ukraine. So let's get right after it, dudes. First, DOGE has found some crazy ass shit, but probably the most alarming thing that they've uncovered is that there were $4.7 trillion in treasury payments that are untraceable. We don't know where they went. We don't know what they were for. $4.7 trillion. Think about that number for a second. That is a massive number. And what the national debt's just over 36 trillion right now. So that's about 13% of the national debt. We don't even know where the hell it went. Right? Crazy, man. And then there's a lot of crazy spending, and we know exactly where it went. And it's also very concerning. For example, U.S. aid, which has had the plug pulled on it. Thank God. Thank God, man. U.S. aid gave $4 billion to the Global Vaccine Alliance. This is another project started by Bill Gates. So one of the richest billionaires on the planet, our government gave him $4 billion more dollars to have his little hands in more vaccine shit. There it is again. Vaccines, man. Why? Why is this such a big topic these days? I think we all know why, man. I'm ready to stop hearing about them. But it's the control that's afforded certain people, right? We're going to hear more and more about vaccines, man, every year from here on out. It's going to take a lot for them to give this shit up. Let's get back on track, though. So in the last year, over $700 million went to the World Health Organization. Another useless organization filled with unelected bureaucrats that are going to try and tell you what you need to stick in your body. Get a load of this one. This one's really good. 10 million bucks. And remember, this is your tax-paying dollars, man. Went to Mozambique to pay for circumcisions. Here's my perspective on this. People in Mozambique, you know what? They might need circumcisions. But do I need to be paying for that shit? I don't. That's my position, is that the federal government just spending taxpayers' dollars on whatever the hell it wants to spend them on. And as you're going to see, they're spending them on super far left progressive organizations. They're not giving like $300 million to the Tea Party. You're not going to find that spending amongst U.S. AIDS receipts. Okay? You're not going to find it there. No, they're taking this money and they're sending it all over the world to freaking fund progressives, which is supposedly, grassroots driven, but it's really not, right? We see now that it's been driven by the American government. And why? This is something that's important to preppers and survivalists. You need to know why. And I stated a lot of times on this channel, this is not a political channel, but you should be very worried about progressives and their goals, because they're really what? They're communists and they're socialists. That's what they really are. They're the kind of people that would happily line up a whole bunch of Trump supporters near a hole and gun them down with a machine gun and bury them with a freaking backhoe. Okay? So when your own government is funding progressive organizations around the world, we should be very, very, very concerned about this. And so here's the thing, getting back on track. You know what? If you're a far left progressive and you want to help pay for circumcisions in Mozambique, write them a fucking check, man. No one's stopping you from doing that. It's that you want my taxpayer dollars to pay for it as well. That's the part that pisses me off. Go ahead, write them a check. Pay for those circumcisions. Maybe the place is so damn dirty that dudes are literally getting the area infected under the flap of skin and dying from it. Okay, I didn't do any research on that. I'm going to guess it's not that big of a problem because we're just throwing money at everything. You know what I'm saying? We're throwing money at everything. Here's another one. $47 million to improve learning outcomes in Asia. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Asia is kicking our ass in education. Why the hell are we sending them $47 million to kick our asses even more? Maybe West Virginia could use the money more because it's 50th in education in the U.S. Maybe that's where the $47 million in education should go. Here's another crazy statistic. There are 4.6 million federal credit cards. You guys know how many federal employees there are? 3 million. I'll tell you what, I used to work for the federal government, man. I was in the military. And what they didn't do is give all of us a credit card. So who the hell's got all these fucking credit cards, man? 4.6 million credit cards. It's 1.5 for every single federal employee. And I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of bureaucrats out there and corrupt officials, elected and not elected, that have 10, 20 federal credit cards in their freaking wallet. It's like, holy shit, the federal government doesn't really audit this stuff anyways. What are these people actually spending this money on? Why do they need so many damn credit cards? It's insane, guys. And all of this insane spending is taking us to one place, bankruptcy as a nation. And as a survivalist or a prepper, this is a really, really big concern, right? Because we are talking the end of the US dollar. We are talking zero purchasing power if we get there. And bankruptcy for us means a world war, guys. That's what it means. We're talking some big, big superpowers that will be absolutely livid that we default on our loans. Now, DOGE uncovering all of this insane spending has shed a lot of light on corruption. And boy, I knew there was corruption happening within the U.S. government, but I had no idea how big it actually is. For example, we had a judge, Norm Eisen, that tried to put the brakes on Trump shutting down USAID. I know it's not USAID, guys. It's USAID. I know what it stands for. It's easier to say USAID, but he tried to put the brakes on it, and come to find out, he owns either one or two NGOs that have received $100 million from USAID. No wonder he wants to put the brakes on it, right? Like, this is what corruption actually is. It's like you have these people in positions of power that are literally lining their own pockets with taxpayer dollars. And when someone tries to stop it, they do anything within their power to keep it going. right? This is what corruption literally is. And it doesn't stop with these federal judges that are trying to stand in the way of these spending cuts. We've discovered that there are plenty of elected officials whose wives run NGOs that have received 120 million US dollars. And some of these elected officials literally sit on the board of these NGOs receiving these funds. And yes, they're out there screaming, oh, we can't stop the aid. The food's going rotten in foreign ports and people are going to die. They're not trying to keep the aid coming because they give a shit about people in third world countries, man. They're trying to keep it coming because it's lining their own pockets. And if we have federal and state governments that are this dirty, people that will partner up with disgusting organizations and even run them and take the money to line their own pockets, man, where does that show you America is headed? It is bad, 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 way worse than I thought it was. Let's get on to the next topic, and probably the easiest way to highlight this right now is the Epstein files. What we know right now, as of this moment, is that Pam Bondi ordered the FBI to give her all of the documents pertaining to the Epstein files, and they gave her 200 pages. Well, it turns out that there's thousands of additional pages, video, audio, all kinds of additional information in an FBI office in Manhattan, I think it is. And they disobeyed her orders to do it. And not only that, but they are actively attempting to cover up and destroy evidence in regards to these files. Pam Bondi wrote Kash Patel a strongly worded letter basically ordering him to get her this stuff within 14 days and to let her know what disciplinary measures he's taking when it comes to dealing with these agents and what kind of investigations he's opened and yada, yada. And he's come out and said he is working on it. Anyone involved in the cover-up or destruction of these documents is going to pay the piper. Another big one that highlights this concern for me is insiders within the federal government and local governments leaking the times and locations of the ICE raids, right? The American people, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter if you're on the left, doesn't matter if you're on the right, doesn't matter if you're in the middle like me. The American people elected Donald Trump to do these things. And so you have agents within these organizations attempting to undermine the administration, right? What does that tell you guys? Okay. And I said this months and months ago. I said this was going on long before the election actually happened. Our federal government is in a soft civil war with itself right now. And one side is going to win. And it's either going to be the side that stands for the right things, or it's going to be the side that is just fine with putting a bullet in your skull. Okay? So we really need to pay attention to this, man. This is big, big, big shit. And here's the thing, because even if Trump's doing the right thing by gutting a lot of these federal agencies, which are just massively bloated and too big, and you know what, here's the thing. We can't afford them, even if they're not too big, even if they're not too bloated. We just can't afford this shit anymore. We can't afford circumcisions in Mozambique. You know what? We can't afford to fix the roads in Gaza. We can't afford it, guys. It doesn't matter if it's for a good cause. That's where we're at. And a lot of the people on the super far progressive left, they can't understand this. They can't wrap their head around the simple math. It's like if you worked a job and you make $150,000 a year, but you spend $300,000 helping grannies in the neighborhood, helping kids that are in a bad situation and they don't have clothes that fit them. And then maybe you're sending money to Mozambique for circumcisions and you're also spending money on some dumb shit. All of a sudden you find yourself $30 million in debt. You know what? Just cutting $150,000 of your $300,000 a year spending spree is not going to help you make up the difference, man. Like, you're done helping grannies. You're done helping those underprivileged kids. You don't have the money for that shit anymore. That's where we're at as a country. But getting back on track here with this civil war, guys, we got to keep our eyes on this one big time. Last and certainly not least, Russia and Ukraine. This whole thing seems to have simmered down a bit since Biden got out of office. And, Ukraine is still hitting Russia with long-range missiles. You know, they still stepped over the line. Zelensky wants the war to continue. There's another guy that can't do fucking simple math, man. It's like, you have no more fighting age men left, man. What are you going to do? You're going to arm all the young women and moms and send them off to war against the Russians? I bet he would. Like, you got to know when you're beat, man. Zelensky, you're beat. This is why he's been screaming for NATO troops forever. As a matter of fact, today, apparently, he's in the Oval Office to sign over half of Ukraine's mineral rights to the United States. And Trump has said some kind of alarming shit about this, right? Because he's basically made the statement that Russia's not going to want to mess with Ukraine so much with our presence over there. And what does he mean by our presence? He's probably just referring to U.S. mining companies being over there and mining these minerals, that the Russians aren't going to want to screw with those areas at all. He's also mentioned that Ukraine's going to have money to continue the fight against Russia. That means that he doesn't really expect it to end tomorrow. We'll have to see, guys. We need to keep our eyes on it because you have a lot of European leaders that are trying to pour gas on that fire. And they actually are pouring gas on the fire. They want a war with Russia. That's what they want. And this brings us to something else, guys. And I want you to think about this, okay? Europe gave Ukraine $100 billion, but they didn't really give it to them. Depending on who you ask, either all of that money or the massive majority of that money needs to be repaid by Ukraine. That was the deal. On the flip side, America gave Ukraine $175 to $350 billion, depending on who you ask. Quick side note, Zelensky says he doesn't even know where over 60% of this money went. No fucking clue, man. I told you guys that they're just looting the coffers of the American empire, man. All this U.S. aid shit, all these treasury payments that can't be traced, all this money that's gone to Ukraine and disappeared. Man, they're just looting us. At any rate, guys, who funds a war and doesn't expect to get any of the money back? You know who funds a war and doesn't expect to get the money back? People who want the war for whatever reason. That's who does it. Are bankers just going to give you $350 billion to fight a war and not expect you to pay it back? No, fuck no. You're going to have to pay that shit back plus interest. Getting back on track again, because that's how my brain is. It just goes all over the place. We definitely want to keep our eyes on this. We are not out of the woods when it comes to World War III yet. We'll have to see what's going to happen in the coming months. In conclusion, guys, let's wrap it up. I don't want it to be super long. We're in an interesting place. Our federal government is literally at war with itself. We all have seen now just how much corruption, fraud, and abuse have come at the expense of your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren that are going to be paying for all of this ridiculous ass spending, a lot of which is going to line the pockets of corrupt officials, bureaucrats, and elected officials. And a lot of it's gone to who fucking knows who, man. $4.7 trillion in untraceable treasury payments. I think I said I was going to talk about the price of gold, and I almost forgot. We're getting close to $3,000 an ounce, guys, and really, I think the price of gold right now is a reflection of the uncertainty in the markets. People don't really know where all this is going, all these big moves that Trump's making, and holy shit, does he have his foot on the pedal, man. He is flooring it. Wow, if this keeps up, for the next 46 months. It's going to be interesting to see where we are at that point in time. That's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it right there. Make sure you like the video, share it with someone that would enjoy watching it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're not into these SHTF news videos, you know what? When they come up on your feed, just don't watch them. If you are, subscribe to the channel, and when I have other shit coming up about like knives or how to drink dirty, nasty cow shit water, just skip those. If you want to help support the channel, check out my Patreon link in the description below. I also have tons and tons of additional content down there. At this point in time, it's probably around 30 plus hours of additional video. All right, dudes. That's it, man. I'll let y'all go. Keep getting ready. We're not out of the woods yet. See you guys in the next one.